Hello there. You're probably wondering why I, a giant brain, am speaking to you telepathically. Well, I'm here along with my assistant, artist Brian Belanger, to teach you how to transform your giant brain at home into a beautiful landscape on behalf of Baycrest and the Brain Project. The Brain Project is a large-scale outdoor exhibit that brings brain health, art, and imaginations to the streets of Toronto. Baycrest and the Brain Project want to get you talking about brain health and diseases like Alzheimer's. Let's begin by sanding our brain, Brian, to help give it some grit and traction for what's to come. In our infancy, our minds are blank canvas waiting for the color and texture that life experiences provide. Now, we're going to want to keep our baby brain warm. Lather your brain in a gel mat medium or a Woodland Scenics cement glue. Now cut strips of an old shirt or other fabric and place them on your brain, adding folds that will later become lovely rolling hills. Hot glue is the warm, gooey love that holds it all together. Oh yeah, that's hot. This old t-shirt, or the fabric of time I call it, will provide more traction for our young minds to flourish and develop upon. Now our brains are ready to build some character. Let's add some plaster to form some brain terrain. Poured plaster into the molds included in this Woodland Scenic kit. Now he will carefully, I said carefully, remove the molds and arrange the range of mountain ranges on me, the brain of the operation. We're building the bedrock, the foundation our brains will build upon the rest of our lives, so don't screw it up. Follow the directions on your plaster package, or add water to your plaster until you reach the desired consistency, somewhere between milk and hard cheese. Remember, Brian, I'm a giant brain and I can read your mind. Don't waste time questioning my metaphors. Quickly, apply the milky goop before it hardens so that it seeps into the material and clings to it like a child latches onto its parents. I can read your mind, boy. If you're not too young to wield a weapon, use a utility knife to scrape off some of the plaster to further shape your mountains. Watch as your brainchild begins to take shape. You're doing great. Gold star, kiddo. Next we're going to lather our brain again in a medium. Not a psychic medium like myself. A matte medium will hold the plaster in place and harden the fabric. Now that our brain is reaching its teenage years, it's time to add some color. Yes, these are very colorful years indeed. Brian has chosen to start painting what will be the undercoat of our luscious green vegetation. The gorgeous green forest and gleeful glens create oxygen. Oxygen is very important for the brain. It relies on it to function properly. I would know. I'm a brain. We're ready to begin painting our precious life-giving water, the blood of the earth that keeps oxygen flowing through the brain. We're going to paint our water as though it's reflecting the oxygen-rich skies on a beautiful day. We're going to use a number of light and dark blues mixed with white along with turquoise. But remember, it's your brain, so feel free to play around and experiment at home. Just be cautious. Like in art or our choices in our teenage years, many of our mistakes are repairable, but some of our actions could have long-lasting ramifications on our brains and make for some seriously ugly results. So I urge you to not screw it up. Even though a teenage brain looks fairly developed and thinks it has life all figured out, like Brian here, it's not done growing up yet. Next we'll use 3 kinds of Woodland Scenic foliage to make our landscapes more mature and robust. Brian's using a few shades and densities to keep things interesting. If our brains want to look sharp, we have to keep sharp and challenge our brain to do interesting things. As an adult looks back at its teenage years, it can see some of the damage it's done to its brain. Where our brain might have had lush oxygen-rich forests, the trees have been cut down and the soil that once held them in place by the roots has washed away, leaving a barren desert. That's a big dead zone there, Brian. What'd you do in your teens? Or last night, for that matter. Stick everything in place with your Woodland Scenic cement glue. If not tended to, these dead zones in our brains represent dementia that may occur later in life. A chronic or persistent disorder of the mental processes caused by brain disease or injury. It affects millions of people worldwide and is marked by loss of memory, personality changes, and impaired reasoning that can lead to death. Now Brian here, his grandmother died of Alzheimer's, and he knows the severity of the pain it causes to loved ones and the caregivers. So I urge you to look it up for yourself. But studies have shown a Western diet may be one of the leading causes of dementia. Those with diabetes and heart problems are more likely to contract the disease. Unhealthy foods, sugary drinks, alcohol, smoking, they all cause inflammation, dehydration, mess up our sleep patterns, and limit oxygen to the brain. Similarly, oxygen levels are dropping every year on the planet as we cut down the forests and disrespect our oceans. Now that sounds like some impaired reasoning that can lead to death if you ask me. In some cases, the disease is hereditary, much like we might hand down a planet with less oxygen to our grandkids. But who cares? Junk food is yummy and there's still lots of trees and oceans, right? YOLO, no big deal. Life's a beach. So let's add some sand to our brain. A nice place to relax and forget about our worries. Now we're going to spray the foliage with 3 parts water to 1 part gel medium. Finally, we'll add a high gloss, or in this case Brian's using resin, to make his ocean sparkle. Finishing touch here, we're going to use a little woodland scenic water, add some waves on the beaches so we can put up our feet and relax again, knowing that we've taken care of our health and the planet. I'm a giant telepathic brain, not a doctor. Now I don't speak on behalf of Baycrest, but I know we both believe the degradation of our minds can be reversed, just as Brian and I here believe the damage to the planet can be reversed. We can replant, we can regrow and beautify our minds, and at the very core of it is an oxygen-rich environment. It's up to you to change your diet and your mind so you can live a long, happy life that you can remember, and one that you'll want to pass down to future generations. Nice work today, Brian, and thanks for everyone watching at home. Be sure to send this along to anyone who's working on developing their brain at home. Regrowth, baby.